Welcome friends and subscribers to the second video in the AMH playlist, and today I'll be talking about the different treatment options in a woman with low AMH. The part 1 video was about the basic aspects of low AMH, in which I have covered in detail about what is low AMH, what is AMH, and how age affects your fertility. That is, how with advancing age the woman's fertility and treatment success decreases. So do remember to check out the video in the AMH playlist. So let me have a small recap about what is low AMH. Low AMH is diagnosed when the woman's AMH level is less than 1 nanogram per ml. That means 0.9 AMH and below. Whenever the report is such, it is predicted that the woman's ovarian stimulation will be suboptimal. That means the follicles and the oocytes which are there inside the follicles would be suboptimal from a conception point of view. I am not saying that a low AMH means 100% you are not going to conceive. It only means that the prediction of your ovarian stimulation and your fertility, that is the female fertility, is a little suboptimal. There are often times women with low AMH conceive beautiful, normal, healthy pregnancies, and the babies are really fantastically normal. So as I have told you in my first video, I consider that a lady with low AMH should directly go in for an IVF. In today's video, when I am saying low AMH, I am meaning low ovarian reserve, as may be tested by blood tests and certain imaging, that is antral follicle count, which is done through ultrasound method. I have covered them in detail on our first video. So what happens is, when a couple comes with low AMH and low ovarian reserve, the main doubt on their mind is how the IVF is going to proceed ahead, or how the infertility treatment is going to proceed ahead. The main thing that I keep telling the couples, and it is very important for you also to understand, is that your doctor really does not know how it is going to proceed. The low AMH and the low ovarian reserve is just a predictor of your fertility. It does not give a guarantee, or does not give a guarantee of conception. The only way for the couple to find out, and also for the couple's infertility practitioner to find out, is to do the most ultimate test in ovarian reserve testing, which is called IVF. When you undergo an IVF, or let me say a trial IVF, you will first get stimulated using gonadotropin injections. Gonadotropins, as I have told you, are FSH and HMG injections. These are injections which are given to the woman on a daily basis during IVF. They are given for a period of 8 to 12 days depending on the ovarian follicular growth. Once these gonadotropin injections are given on a daily basis, your IVF practitioner usually does an ultrasound as per a fixed schedule to find out whether the follicles are growing or not. This is the first test of ovarian reserve. That means if the lady's ovaries are getting stimulated well, that means if the lady's ovarian follicles are growing well with the gonadotropin injections, that means the first hurdle of poor ovarian reserve is taken care of. That means if the follicles are not growing well, that means the ovarian reserve may really be very low, and so low that you may not be able to conceive using your own oocytes. And if the follicles are growing well, that means you can proceed to the next step. So what is this next step? Let me explain. Once the ovarian follicles have reached 18 mm in size as proven by ultrasound, then your follicles are ready to be aspirated. This aspiration of the follicles is commonly known as transvaginal oocyte aspiration. This is the process which is done under a small mini anesthesia, and your follicles are aspirated using a very fine needle in the process of transvaginal oocyte retrieval. Now these follicles are drained and the follicular fluid will be examined by the embryologist to look for oocytes. This is the second hurdle that you will be facing when you are affected by low ovarian reserve. When the embryologist finds that there are oocytes, it means that your follicles were not empty. If at all the follicles are found to be empty, that is another challenge that a couple may face. If the follicles have no eggs, definitely you are not going to get any babies or embryos. Also, if these follicles contain oocytes as proven by the embryologist under his microscope, the second hurdle is taken care of. Now comes the next question. What is the quality of your oocytes? Very commonly we find that when we do IVF for a couple or a woman who has low ovarian reserve, we find that the oocytes are there, however the quality is really bad. A low quality oocyte will not give you a good quality embryo. Sometimes these oocytes do not even fertilize even when ICSI or direct fertilization is performed. If this oocyte does not fertilize, again you are not going to get a baby. Having said this, if at all fertilization does proceed successfully, then we find then your third and most significant hurdle is also taken care of. Now comes the part where the embryos which are thus formed require to be grown or cultured. We have to document the fact that your embryos are developing at a good speed or a normal speed of growth. Every embryo has a normal growth speed. That means with passage of time your embryo has to grow and divide under the microscope. If this growing and division is not happening, that means the embryos that are produced are not optimal enough, are not strong enough to be transferred. Also, if these embryos are transferred, you may get a failed implantation or you may get a miscarriage. So these are the different hurdles that you may see when you are doing an IVF cycle. This is the main advantage of IVF, which is very important in a couple who has low AMH or any other test which suggests or predicts a low ovarian reserve. So I would strongly suggest that in case you are affected with low ovarian reserve, IVF is the best and only way ahead that you can finally prove whether you are going to get an embryo made of your own eggs or not. So now let me tell you how many IVF cycles may be required for you to understand whether you have good embryos and good ovarian reserve or not. It is not that a single IVF cycle can prove anything. However, 3 or 4 or even sometimes more than 4 IVF cycles may be needed for you to produce a good enough embryo which is fit for implantation and an embryo that grows in your womb for 9 months and gives you a take home baby. Definitely we might get embryos such that they undergo miscarriage very frequently. That means the embryo implants well, it produces a good beta HCG, however the growth of the embryo intrauterine is suboptimal. Now you may be wondering why a woman who has produced eggs, that is produce oocytes after transvaginal oocyte retrieval, is not able to produce good quality embryos. The answer is genetics. You must have seen from my first video, as age advances, fertility decreases. The main reason for that is poor genetics of the oocytes. As the age advances, a problem in the genetics called aneuploidy increases inside the oocytes. That means these oocytes are no longer strong enough genetically to produce a healthy embryo, and an unhealthy embryo is always discarded by nature. That means an embryo which is having poor genetics is always to some extent aborted or miscarried by nature, and it's a protective mechanism that the nature does to limit the number of handicapped children or subnormal children in the world. So when should you consider going in for a donor egg IVF? So well, let me first tell you what donor egg IVF really means. In a donor egg IVF, what happens is we take the oocytes from a donor lady, that is a lady who has been proven to have good fertility and good genetics. She must be having at least one or two children of her own, and this lady produces the eggs which are donated to you. You, which means the couple who requires these donor eggs. These donor eggs can be then combined with the husband's own sperms, which gives you an embryo. These embryos, which are produced from donor eggs, are technically and legally both belonging to you. That means the couple totally owns these children and is responsible for the legal upbringing of these children, just as they would have to their own biological child. These babies or embryos which are hence produced from donor eggs are then implanted into the woman's, that is the mother's own uterus, and she carries the pregnancy forward for the 9 months. Following this, she delivers the baby just like how she would have delivered a natural conception occurring in her own womb. So let me go back to our original question. When should the couple actually consider going in for donor egg IVF? I would say if the couple is financially strong, that means if they can afford to undergo one or two trial IVFs to find if their own eggs can materialize into a baby or not, they should. The pleasure of having a baby from your own genetics, that is from your own eggs and your own sperms, is totally different. However, your blood tests and your ovarian reserve testing should permit that to happen. Sometimes due to some bad luck or due to some unfortunate reasons, the embryos produced from the couple's own gametes do not materialize, and in spite of trying maybe 2, 3, 4 or 5 times through IVF, you are not getting a child, then this is the right time when you should consider a donor egg IVF. Definitely on YouTube and on various other informational sites, you must have seen that it is very easy to get embryos from low ovarian reserve, whereas practically speaking, I have shown you the data on the screen in the first video itself. So I will be showing you the same graph again on this video as well. Here on your screen you are seeing a beautiful graph which is drawn. This is a graph which has been produced by CDC, that is Center for Disease Control and Prevention in US. So this is a very important healthcare authority in US, and this chart is as per their IVF cycles which was studied in 2014. Here you can see that the age is plotted over here and the percentage of success is plotted here. The green graph that you can see right here shows you the percentage of success in women who use their own eggs in IVF, whereas the blue line shows you the percentage of success in IVF for those women who use donor eggs. Here you can clearly see that in the green line, that is the self egg IVF, the women had a very good fertility when it was less than 30 years of age. When the women reached 34 years, the fertility declined by almost 10%, whereas when the age reached almost 40 years, we can see that the fertility, that is the results coming from their own eggs, was half. And when the age of the woman reached 44 years of age, you can see that the fertility is very negligible. That means a lot of IVF attempts would be required to produce hardly one embryo, that is one embryological success. And most of the couples at age 44 and 45 may not be in a position to produce embryos using their own eggs. However, you can see from this blue line that all the women who have opted for donor egg IVF have a almost constant success rate even at age 44-45. You can see a mild decline, but that is expected with age. I hope this graph was very helpful to you in making your decision whether you would like to go in for donor egg IVF or self egg IVF. In my personal opinion, I would say for all the women who have low ovarian reserve, the first thing that they should always try is to go in with their self egg IVF. You can go in for maybe 2 or 3 IVF cycles till you get a good result. However, after these IVF attempts fail, you can consider donor egg IVF as one of the options which are there. Now let us go to a very interesting topic, that what happens when you have very poor IVF success with your own eggs and still don't want to go in for donor eggs. I can very well understand that for many women, going ahead with a donor egg IVF is a very large emotional stressor. Well, the good news for all those couples who do not want to go in for the donor egg IVF is that there are new IVF protocols which are specifically designed for couples with low AMH or low ovarian reserve. So what are these IVF protocols? Let me explain. Traditionally, when standard IVF cycle is planned for any couple, we go in with a supraphysiological dose of gonadotropins. So just simply put, the dose of gonadotropins that is given to most ladies is around 150 to 300 international units. Very rarely some injections may be used of 450 dose or higher, but that is very rare. So there are IVF protocols which begin the patient with a very high dose, that is 450 and 600, to produce oocytes. These are called high dose protocols for IVF. Also, there are low dose protocols and ultra low dose protocols or mini IVFs, which are also popular for women with low AMH or low ovarian reserve. In these protocols, we give a very low dose of gonadotropins which may be supplemented with oral tablets. That is, the patient has to take oral medications by mouth, as well as certain injections may need to be supplemented. Also, there are dual stim protocols or dual stimulation protocols which can also be done in a case of poor ovarian reserve. The traditional protocols are well documented to give a very good success rate for couples with low AMH as well. However, all these newer protocols which I am talking about are yet to prove themselves as the best method to go ahead with low ovarian reserve patients. Till then, your traditional protocols are the mainstay of the treatment, and every couple who wants to attempt IVF should ideally go in for the traditional IVF protocols, and if these protocols fail, you can go in for the newer, or I would say experimental IVF protocols. There is absolutely no harm in them. The practitioner who knows how to go ahead with these protocols may be able to try one or the other technique and hopefully produce a good result in you. There are also ovarian rejuvenation protocols in which we use plasma rich platelets or PRPs as they are called to increase the AMH levels, or rather increase the response of the ovary to stimulation. Presently, there is no method scientifically that can increase the number of eggs in the lady's ovaries. So often we have people asking what are the ways to increase your AMH level and how to increase the number of oocytes or eggs present in the ovaries. Well, scientifically speaking, such a procedure can never ever be done. That is because that is how biology works in a woman. You can never produce new eggs. However, new treatment strategies are available to increase the lady's response, that is ovarian response, to the drugs which are already existing. So in today's video I have covered the traditional self-egg IVF stimulation, the donor egg IVF, as well as newer or experimental methods of stimulating a patient with low ovarian reserve. I think I have tried my best to cover most of the topics in today's video as far as IVF in low ovarian reserve is concerned. In case there is a specific question that you want to ask with regarding low ovarian reserve, low AMH, or any IVF in low ovarian reserve is concerned, kindly remember to write the questions in the comment section below. I will be very happy to answer as many questions as possible. In case you found today's video interesting and educational, do remember to press the thumbs up icon and do subscribe to our channel, which motivates us to produce new, interesting and educational content about IVF, infertility and various gynec topics. The next video that we are going to talk about is IUI in a lady with low ovarian reserve. So do continue watching the video playlist till the end. Thank you very much. Have a good day.